Hey David, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Doing fantastic. Doing fantastic. Thank you for coming on to the show. I know we've kind of been exchanging messages back and forth. It's been a little bit of a challenge, but here we are.
Yeah.
Glad to have you on, man.
Thanks, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
So
grateful for the opportunity.
it's I think in a content now that we're all stuck at home, people
Mhm.
are like really thirsty for any type of content, like
Oh
anything
yeah.
that they can get, and it's such a big market now. So, um, it's cool that we get to do this from the comfort of our own home. Kind of
Yeah, it's convenient. It's very nice.
Absolutely, man. So, welcome on to the show. This is the Boonafide experience for those of y'all who are first tuning in. And this is David, aka Mr. Sandman. Um, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is David. Uh, I go by Sandman in the gaming community online. I am a 27-year-old professional concert and esports photographer. I've been a photographer in the gaming industry for about 5.5 years now. I think 5.5 years,
Wow.
6 years. I've worked with teams, tournament organizers, uh, concert venues, sponsors, like all kinds of different things. I love Halo. Halo's my favorite game of all time. That's kind of what got me into the entire thing. But I mean, that's kind of me, man. I'm really summed up as just as a photographer who loves Halo and just loves to try and help out his favorite scene. Like that's kind of me.
Oh yeah, dude, and that's and I've seen I kind of stumbled my way into the scene a little while ago, and like
Mhm.
like I wasn't while although we didn't connect like on every post mainly around Halo because obviously I love Halo
Yeah.
too. Like I would see your name, I'd see you in the comment section, like who is this guy? Like and like it was fascinating to see some of your work, man. Like I'm curious to see is like what I guess like before Halo, like was
Yeah.
photography still a passion? Was this whole thing still a passion prior to getting into the gaming world?
So originally, I wanted to be a filmmaker. I had just graduated high school. I had no plans for college, and I love movies. I love cinema. So I was like, I want to make movies. I write
Mm-hmm.
screenplays and do
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sold my whole like all my DVD collection. Ate like a meal a day, the whole typical kind of like starve
Yeah.
yourself, get whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like I don't know, like 4 or 5 months later, I bought my first camera, which I still have it today. I still use it,
That's awesome.
and I wanted to make movies. And then I realized that to make movies, it takes a team, and it's very difficult to gather like a large group of people to have that collective, creative experience.
Sure.
So I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. It was too much of a struggle to gather so many different people to do it.
Yeah.
So eventually, I was like, oh, I guess I'll just try taking pictures. I don't have to have a team for it.
Yeah.
I can just do my thing and create my own process. And I've always been into esports. And then I found out that there were like local esport events here. So I just decided I'm going to go take pictures and just see what happens. And nothing really happened. Nothing came from it. I didn't like have like a joy of it by any means. It wasn't till 2015 Call of Duty X Games where I was like, I'm going to go to that. I'm going to go to the X Games and photograph it. And then that is what I was like, yeah, I love doing this way more than trying to become a filmmaker. While I still love movies and film and I
Yeah.
still love studying it and reading about it, I just realized that I was not meant to make them. I'm
Gotcha.
much more on the photo side of things.
That's badass, man. I mean, that's cool. I gotta ask. Like,
Yeah.
you're a diehard Halo fan.
Mhm.
Which one did you grow up playing? Which one did you begin playing?
So I grew up, I hated Halo.
What?
Yeah, so I hated Halo as a kid because I was like a big Sony guy, and
Ah,
it was like a blind hatred thing. It was like I
yeah,
like Sony, Xbox sucks,
yeah, yeah.
and
We don't really see any change from that happening, right? I mean,
yeah, it's the same,
yeah.
So I think my cousin brought over Halo 1 and we played it, and I was like, yeah, this game sucks. And yeah, and then like years later, I was like in middle school, or I was in middle school, I was elementary school, and my sister's friends brought over Halo 2. And I
Mm,
was a cocky kid, and I just wanted to like say, even though I didn't like Halo, I just wanted to say that hey, I'm better than you guys. You guys suck.
yeah,
As like a young kid would.
yeah.
And we played, and I got destroyed. Didn't know what I was doing. So me and my friends would always play like the Halo 2 campaign. We never
Mm,
had online at the time. And I started to get really into it because I didn't want to be bad at something.
Gotcha.
It was the first time I didn't want to be bad at something that strived me to work towards something.
Yeah.
And then my mom got me my first Xbox in 2007 for Christmas, and then Halo 3 is what I grinded online for the first time. Halo 3 is the game that was my online experience for Halo, and was what's got me addicted to it as to this day. And without it, I don't think I would even be a photographer because of the people that I met through the experiences while playing Halo 3 online.
That's fantastic, man. I think we share a similar story. Like it's like I think, for me, the my first was I was the CE campaign. Like I remember
Mhm.
being so young, and
Yeah.
we're around the same age. I'm 28, and I remember when Halo CE came out, I couldn't even hold the controller in my hand. It was that big old Doom controller.
The Duke
The
controller?
Duke
Yeah.
controller. Yeah, I always call it the Duke
Yeah.
controller. Yeah, that thing was massive, and but I remember like this just obsession to like want like I was willing to struggle through
Yeah.
like my hands being too small to play this game because it had, especially back in Halo 1, like
Mhm.
games were built for campaign, games were not built for
Oh, yeah.
multiplayer like they are
Yeah.
today. So that campaign is a fucking grind. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Especially on Legendary, bro. It's
dude,
not a joke.
it's
It's not a joke.
it's not. My I think my buddy and I just did a coast stream where we played
Mhm.
I think right when we got to the library, it literally took
Yeah.
us like a whole broadcast to get through the library.
Oh
It's
my
like,
gosh.
yeah. I mean,
That's fucking cool, dude.
well, I mean, bro, like we're what you consider like a Halo boomer. Like we hadn't played the Halo campaign of Legendary in probably like 10, 12 years, so it's a
Mhm.
little bit rusty, but that's awesome, man. Like what was your first Halo event that you got to photograph?
Um, so I was watching MLG. I've been watching since
Hmm.
2007, Halo MLG. I went to my first event in '09. Obviously, wasn't a photographer
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
So then it was Indianapolis 2015. It was a PGL event. It was H2A. That was my first event. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anybody in the scene. I was completely like irrelevant, I
Hmm.
guess.
Hmm.
Use that word.
As we all start, yeah,
Yeah, as we all start.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I drove 15 hours to Indianapolis in my like beat up car. I hit up Bravo and Tashi,
Hmm.
who they were both worked at 343 at the time, and I just said, "Hey, can I just shoot your event?" I didn't know if I needed permission to do it,
Yeah,
so I asked anyway, even though I probably could have gone in and just done it.
yeah,
But I wanted to make the connections with 343 and
exactly.
people. I wanted to build the connection and the relationship because I didn't want to just do it, quit, move along. I actually wanted to grow inside of this industry. Um, so I reached out to them and they're like, "Yeah, man, you can shoot our stuff. Just I mean, if you can we have your pictures too?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yes." The developer of Halo wants to use my pictures, even though at the time I barely knew what I was doing with my pictures. Yeah, you can
yeah,
have them.
dude, that's fantastic.
Dude, it was extremely exciting, and it was the first jump, and, like, I knew who Bravo was
Yeah,
at
of
the time,
course.
so I'm like, "I'm talking to the coach of Triggers Down, like, this is insane." And I got to see Walshy and Golden Boy and meet all these people that I've followed on Twitter for so long, and I don't know, it's an experience I'll never forget because even to like, back then, I fanboyed even, like, amateur players that I followed,
Yeah,
even pros, talent, personalities. Even now, I tell people all the time, I still fanboy over everybody.
yeah.
Whether you're an amateur player, a semi-pro, talent, community member, just in the crowd, I
Sorry
fanboy
about that.
all of them.
About that.
No, you're good.
There's a dog that so I've part of me wants to keep some of this in the podcast, but
Yeah.
like I edited it out a little bit. But we're all kind of experiencing this life at home. So I mean,
Oh, yeah, man.
yeah. But that's
It's a good dog.
yeah. I mean, yeah. She's a good girl, dude. That's cool, man. And you touched on a point that I was gonna ask you about anyway. Like when I was reading through your website, like you mentioned that like you've driven cross country with like barely nothing to like do these events. Like, I think it's important to highlight the fact like for people that are like trying to get into the scene, it's just like, this is what it kind of looks like. Like selling all your shit to like buy something that you really love and to like go like if you really are about it, man, there's no expectation. Like, and
Yeah.
I think that's just a cool thing that you had the drive to do that, and you literally had no guarantee of anything in return.
None.
Um, and I just think that's something that's missing a lot with the society. Like it's a lot of people come in with this deserving expectation versus like Hey, man, I just want to go take some pictures because it's my
Yeah.
favorite esport.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
all it was for me at the time. Like, I think
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. So don't get me wrong, like, I feel like at times there was that, "I deserve this."
Well, sure. I mean, we gotta have our own sense
Uh,
of self worth, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
absolutely. But it was always like, I'm not gonna stop this, like, I'm not gonna have something stop me or get in my way from doing it.
yeah,
Like, I used to get a lot of flack. I understand it now, like, years later, I understand it now, 5 years later. Back then, I was like, "Leave me alone. Let me do my thing." But back then, I was always told, like, "You need to quit going to events and working for free, and, if you're shooting pictures of people, you need to charge them for the stuff and all that." And I understand where they're coming from, and I understand that it could potentially hurt the industry, but at the time, I was like, Halo's in a weird spot.
hmm
I wanted to get as many eyes on the scene as I could. I wanted to contribute to the community that I was very passionate about. So I said, I don't care about making money right now. I feel like those opportunities they will come eventually. So I'm just gonna drive myself to the events, fly myself to the events, shoot my pictures, give them to people if they want. I share an album after every event because I want it to be kind of like a collective experience. If we get to look back on it and, hey, what did David shoot? I wonder if David got
yeah,
this of me. I wonder
yeah,
if David got that. Oh my God, David, look what he got that. And it's a very proud feeling that people admire it as much as they do when it's just I'm just some dude taking pictures of them. It's nothing crazy, and it's humbling to know how much it means to people. And the bunch of friends that I've made through the scene and the industry is like way more than I've made in school or in my work life at home. Um, so I owe it a lot.
yeah.
Uh, but
Well, I mean, you touched on a good point though, man. Like, sure, like it's important. Like, you gotta eat, you gotta put food on the table, and eventually you want to live a little bit more of a comfortable life than you did prior to when
yeah,
you're struggling. But at the same time, there what I don't think, this is just a complete assumption, but from what it sounds like, some of the talking heads that were giving you advice was just like they didn't really know what the true motive was of, like, man, we need to lift up this scene, and that is more important than me getting. I'll make it work. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and that's more important. There's a much larger thing at stake than like me making a paycheck, a couple hundred
yes,
bucks. I'm not sure. I've literally no clue what photographers charge. But like, making X amount of dollars per event is more important. It's less important than
yeah.
what that actually means to people.
Especially when it was coming from, like, a scene, and this is no, like, jab at Halo, but it's just at the
Yeah.
moment, Halo wasn't a big esport. Like, it
No.
was big. It was
Had moment.
there.
It had momentum.
It had
Like,
momentum,
yeah,
yes. But it wasn't like a tier 1 esport by any means, and it wasn't like orgs were just feasting, trying to get in and throwing money
yeah,
at content creators and things like that. So my mindset was, I'm not going to hurt the industry because it's not like I'm going to other games and just
yeah.
working for free and getting in the way of other photographers. I was the only photographer in Halo for the past 5 years. So
I was.
I just kind of said, hey, I'm just gonna keep my spot and my space, and I'm just gonna keep shooting the people I love to shoot.
What I
And
mean, and the relationships are also more important than the actual. Like, it's like that's, I think, because you mentioned that in the beginning. It's like, you know, I think I share the same sentiment looking up to Bravo and like looking up to Tashi. It's like these people are like spearheads in the community, and like getting to like just literally get engaged with a DM is probably fantastic. You know what I mean?
oh,
Like,
it feels like an accomplishment. I
yeah,
mean, it's like these people that or you've heard of or just know by title, and them even responding to you with a yeah, a
right,
yes is enough for me to, like, oh my gosh, like, I am incredibly motivated to do this now
yeah,
because it's not me being ignored or me being stuck in like a circle of my own. I've been welcomed into it, and
mm-hmm,
I've grown into it, which then has given me opportunities and other things. And that's
right.
exactly what I wanted. Kinda.
Well, it's probably part of it. It's probably part of the journey to get there, get to
Yeah.
what it
Well, I
is
mean,
that you.
there's always different goals and different, like,
Sure.
things that I wanted originally, and it didn't work out, but I was like, "That's okay. I'm still gonna keep going, and
Right.
maybe something else will happen, or maybe it will happen eventually," but yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And what was probably so I want to rewind a little bit. You mentioned going to school, like going to high school, going to like did you go to college? Did you finish college? Like, well, if so, what was your degree in?
So I actually didn't go to college at all.
Hmm.
Trying to think. So my sophomore year of high school, yeah, sophomore year of high school, my mother passed away. So then
Oh,
when my mother passed away, I had to move to Florida with my dad. That's where he was, and that's actually how I went to an MLG event,
Oh wow.
weirdly enough. And after that, I just kept moving from there to Oklahoma, Florida, Oklahoma, back and forth, going to different schools. And then eventually I moved back to Florida finally after like a third time. And I finished high school like a year early. I just caught up
Mm,
with credits and finished it out. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do in regards to school because I didn't know where I wanted to live. And I had no talent. I just was playing Halo Reach at the time, like every day, Halo 4 or whatever it was.
yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go back home to Oklahoma and just see what happens, and I'm not gonna think about school." I thought about it at one point, but when I was going back home, I said, "I'm just gonna get a job and just find myself," essentially. Because
Yeah.
like, when my mom passed away, when I was 16, the 3-ish, 4 years were just kinda me figuring out who am I? What am I trying
Sure.
to do? And that's kind of when I stumbled across the whole filmmaking thing and photography thing. So, no college, just a high school diploma. I've still got a job back in 2012 at this car dealership. That's where I work now. Been there 8 years
Oh wow.
or 7 years.
Yeah.
But that job has allowed me to go to all these events because I've worked my way through the ladder in that job, which has allowed me to pay for flights and hotels and stuff. So without that job, I wouldn't be at events.
Right. If it's but I think it's I think it's fantastic because like I went to college but I didn't finish college and I'm probably not going to go back to college because
Mhm.
it's not something that like I don't want to read things in a book. I want to go experience it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I just don't think I have like, I don't think the motivation's there.
yeah.
Like, I I can read online, but I don't think I could just sit in a classroom. Well, I guess no one can now, but
Right.
because of COVID, but I don't think I could just sit in a classroom and just head down, read,
No.
take note. It just feels so colorless to me, and
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I don't know.
That's a great way to put it, man. I've never heard someone say it like that. It's just I think there was one class that really motivated me to actually not go to school, like at my
Oh,
like
really?
and it wasn't in like in a bad way, but it's just in this thing of like, we're moving towards this generation where it's just like it doesn't really matter what it says on your piece of paper. It matters more of the job that can you do it, you know?
Yeah.
And are you able to adapt? Are you able to build relationships? Do you have soft skills with people? I'm like, I've always had those. I'm like,
Mhm.
I think I'll just like go try. Like, I like video games. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's the thing though too, right? Because like I feel like I swear, because I've never even had the best social skills, but I feel like just learning social skills would have been enough
yeah,
to just in life than college because like I could have made better connections. I could have just talked with people. I could have been more outgoing just to seize opportunities and but instead, and that there's nothing against college. I'm
yeah,
not knocking it by any
yeah,
means. Like if that's your thing, that's cool because I admire people who can stick it out and get their masters or all that stuff.
without a
I
doubt,
do
bro.
not I do not have the discipline or the patience, anything to do it. So I mean, major props to those people. It's not my thing,
Well, yeah, I think it's
but
just it's fantastic that we're moving. It's like this inclusive thing where it's still required for definitely certain positions.
Mhm.
Like I see a therapist, and like I would really hope that she has a master's degree. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
like so
I've
it's
been there. I understand that.
right. So there's certain things that definitely like I still warrant that, but I love that because it used to be this like you had to go to college and get a degree or else you would never
Yeah,
be successful in anything. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Or and I just think with the boom of the internet and with everything that's happening, like especially now, I mean it's proven that like you can literally do what makes you happy. You don't have to do this if you don't
yeah,
want to.
yeah. I
You know?
agree. There's so many just different avenues now than just college or
Yeah,
military. Like there's
yeah.
so many different more avenues. And I think the internet and content creators and esports and
Hmm.
YouTube and just even Instagram influencers, TikTok,
Yeah.
anything like that. The internet has given way more opportunities to people than I think anybody ever would ever imagine. So
It
kind of
just
nuts.
just like we couldn't predict what would have happened this year, like no one could have predicted what happened
Yeah,
when the internet boomed. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
no one I think knew.
I think a lot of people at the time of the internet were just thinking it's going to be like a messaging system that you could get information from, like a
That's
digital book.
that's right.
But now it's progressed so much. I mean, now we're having, a video call here. You
Mhm.
can talk to anybody you want around the world. You can play games with people around the world. I can get any information in a matter of seconds. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, like my designer is works in the UK and it's just like,
Oh, no kidding.
we have Discord calls at like, like usually it's either kind like early in the morning or it's like really late at night cuz it's like
I was about
early.
to say, how do you work that with the time zones and stuff?
Well, I don't work with him as like it's not as heavy because we did like part of my not like he did this branding as well, but like part of my Twitch channel branding, like we really went in. Like I made a massive investment right on the beginning, and so it was like a 2 month project for him. And I remember the first Discord call that I had, no money was ever even exchanged. Like we had like a 3 hour, 4 hour conversation. It was like 5 in the morning
Oh my
local time.
gosh.
But and at the same time, he was almost trying to talk me out of the sale with some of the stuff. I'm like, brother, I don't think you understand. Like, I don't intend on doing this twice. Like, I'm like, let's do it right. Let's do it. Let's let literally everything. But that just goes to show like the hustle, the determination, but also like I can literally have a phone call with what used to have to pay long distance minutes on a cell
Yeah,
phone or
I
on a
forget about
landline.
that.
You know what I mean? And not only do I get to do that, he can share his screen with me. He can take payment over this. He can do. It's just what a world we live in. You know what I
You
mean?
can literally live in your room,
Yeah,
like literally.
yeah, yeah. My gaming area and my it's that is my bed. You know what I mean? Like
I feel
it's
that.
yeah, yeah.
I feel that.
I got it. So I got asked when you saved up enough money to buy your first camera. What was that one? Like, what was your
Uh,
first
it was
camera?
it was a Canon Mark III 5D. I called her Elizabeth. I don't know why. I just like the name Elizabeth, so I called it Elizabeth. Uh, I got it like at Best Buy or something like that. I had to order it online, and I actually got in trouble with my bank because it was expensive,
hmm hmm
and they tried to like cancel the order like 3 times, and I was like, no, I'm real. I'm buying it. It's not
Yeah.
like a bot or anything. But I bought it. It was a really expensive camera, and a lot of people were trying to say don't do that because typically when you first start, you get an entry level camera. I
Mm-hmm.
said I don't want to do that because I was like, well, I understand the equipment isn't everything,
Yeah.
it's not, but I didn't want to be behind in that aspect. So
Yeah.
I wanted to act like I belonged in regards to how professional my gear was. And I know it's kind of dumb because
Mm,
the gear doesn't matter all the time, but look at your webcam, look at my webcam. You know? Yeah.
I literally just bought this. I
It's a
literally.
very beautiful webcam you bought.
What's actually not a webcam? It's a A6000.
Even better.
Right.
Even better. Mirrorless camera, even better.
Yeah, I just bought it. We actually I wouldn't even judge yourself too much on that. It's definitely look like there's definitely a certain mindset around that. And if people are just buying shit just to buy it to make themselves feel better, like I think that's more of who that statement is targeted towards because I'm very similar. Like when I buy something, like especially when I don't know anything about it, like I want to get something that for me, I know that it's not going to break. Like cuz
Yes.
the last thing I want to learn how to do is troubleshoot it when I just spent five, six, seven, 800, thousand, $2,000 on this camera, and then I don't know how to
Yeah.
like. Then now I got to fix it. Like
Yeah.
that's not what I just want to take pictures. I just want to buy a computer. Like I just like same thing with the graphics. I don't want to have to buy that twice. I don't want to have to go get a lesser design from someone and then have to go to spend double the money again to get what I actually wanted in the first place.
And that's kind of my mentality
Yeah,
on it. Like
yeah,
I was like, I don't want to have to buy 2, 3 times, and I don't want to have to buy something that's a lesser
yeah.
version of what I have now.
Mm-hmm.
And then end up buying a better camera even later on down the line. I still
Right.
use my camera. Like I still use that. It's my first body, and then I bought a newer one like last year, like the newer version. Um, but I still use it as a secondary camera, and it
Yeah.
still works, and it still goes strong, and it's still a great camera.
That's badass, man. That's
Yeah.
badass. And how old is that camera? You said like so you've been doing this for about 5 years.
hmm
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like 5 years old, 5, 6 years old.
Right.
It's got some scratches.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, a little bit of wear and tear.
Oh yeah, man. It's concerts especially really wear them down. Being in crowds and or just pushed by random people who are having a good time.
I was gonna add that's I was. It's funny you mentioned that. That's actually where I was gonna transition next is the concerts. Like, because you do esports, you do concerts. What? Kind of give me a little bit of history about some of the concerts you've been at or that you've gotten to photograph.
Uh, so my first concert was it was Korn's 20th anniversary
Oh
of their
wow,
first album. Yeah,
what a first
and
show.
yeah, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I've always been on the mentality of like don't go small at the start. Start
Yeah,
big at every point. I don't.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
it seems like, but I kind of got lucky with that because I was in New Orleans shooting my first COD or my second COD event, and my sister was friends with the opening band of Suicide. She's friends with someone in Suicide Silence, and she's like, "Hey, you're here in New Orleans the same time as the COD event. Like, can you go, or
Yeah.
concert, sorry. And I was like, "Can you get me in there?" And my sister called him, and it got me a photo pass, and I got to go in. I left. I didn't even shoot Championship Sunday of the COD event.
Oh wow.
I left. I was like, "I'm gonna go do this concert," because who knows if that's ever gonna happen again.
Right.
And yeah, it was Suicide Silence and Corn. It was just them because Corn was playing their first, or they're playing their entire first album from beginning to end.
Wow.
But then after that, man,
Wow.
I shot Slipknot. That's probably my favorite one, just because they're one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Shot Metallica twice. See, I've shot a lot, but now that I think about them, they're not like popping into my head.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've shot a lot, and a lot of stuff. A lot of the ones that are really important to me. Like I shot Paramore. I've always been a big Paramore fan.
Mhm.
Um, Hailstorm, Parkway Drive, Killswitch Engage, like a
Wow.
ton of really big names, man, that I never thought in hell that I would ever photograph, especially Metallica twice.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
huge, man.
a kid from Midwest City, Oklahoma, that probably no one's ever heard of, getting to photograph probably the most famous rock band of all time. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, that's something I'll hold on to forever.
Oh, 100%. I gotta ask, have you ever either had a drive to, or have you ever had the opportunity to like try to shoot a Tool concert? Have you ever been able to do that?
So I've had an experience with it. I tried.
Okay.
But Maynard James Keenan is
Yep.
very strict
Oh yes.
on photos and videos, so I was denied access for that one.
Yeah.
And I was really bummed because I was like, "Oh my god, this is Tool.
Yeah.
Who knows if they're ever gonna tour again?"
Bro. Bro.
And,
I mean, yeah.
I still went. It was a great show.
Yeah. Per
Uh,
usual. I mean,
but oh yeah, it's Tool, dude. Oh yeah. But I was pretty bummed. I didn't get to shoot it,
Yeah.
but it was still cool to watch them.
You know, it's reason why I asked that. Number one, because that's literally my favorite band of all time. But
Oh, no good.
yeah, I recently got to go see. Well, I've seen them 4 times. I got to
Mhm.
see the first show. I actually, so I'm a little about me. I'm about 7 years sober, so I just got out of rehab. And
Congrats, dude.
thank you, man. I just got out of rehab, and it was like a week before like my kind of like discharge date at the sober living apartments that I was living in.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you can't go to concerts till you're at 3 months. I'm like, well, in 3 months, I'll be leaving and moving into my buddy's house. And they're like, well, you can't go. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go. You know, like it. And they're like, okay, you just don't have a place to come back to when you get back. And I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. But it was one of the best show. Like they literally played Third Eye on my very first show of in history, and then I got to go 2 years later, and then they opened with No Quarter, which is something that they've probably maybe played that a handful of less than 10 times live. And you know, the last one I got to go to, last two, I actually got to go to my first VIP experience right when the new album dropped,
No
uh,
kidding.
in San Antonio, and that was just I remember feeling so lucky to even get a ticket. It's kind of like the way electronic sales are these days, where it's just like
Yeah.
you're so lucky to even get something. Like I literally blocked off my calendar at work. I'm like right when they went, I'm like I was literally hovering over that thing to like get the ticket. And it's funny,
Was it expensive?
yeah, it was about 500. But honestly though,
That's actually not too bad
for
though.
VIP though, I
Yeah,
mean
yeah, it's not
that's
bad.
it's really not, you know. And what
I think
that
I paid like 340 for Metallica floor seat. So
exactly.
that's actually not bad.
And you got, you know, exclusive merch that you can't buy.
Mhm.
You know, you got the backpack that had the show date printed on it. I mean,
That's sick.
you got all the things. You got the hoodie that no one else can buy, and the pins, and you got 20% off merch. And then what was the bread and butter of that was you got access to their sound check. Um, and
Whoa.
I get goosebumps when I talk about it because now it's you mentioned Maynard being really petty and really strict because
Yeah.
what they do is they do a sound check without the VIP members where Maynard is
Mhm.
there, and then they do a sound check and Maynard leaves.
Really?
And then the one that we get to experience, Maynard doesn't interact with any audience members. That's just not his thing. He's never done it. He hates interacting with crowds. Like it's just that's just who he is, you know. And
It's so
people,
weird, man. Even to
he,
this day.
he's such a weirdo, but like people, it doesn't matter. People just accept it because they like him,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, getting to hear the Fear Inoculum, even without Maynard singing, with all the lights on, with an empty stadium, just hits so much different. Like you're
I
just
couldn't even imagine what that's like.
the acoustics are completely different, you know,
Yeah, I bet.
because we're in
And, you,
the
and you're not like crammed in a
mm,
billion people or anything. Dude,
mhm.
that's cool.
It was just and you're literally. I mean, now you got good tickets for VIP. You were literally right where you were when you were doing the sound check, but it was just like
Yeah.
literally feeling the wind coming from like the bass and just watching them just in their own element and kind of just laughing. It was just such a cool, experience. And then when they took a group picture, of course, without Maynard, he wasn't there. But listening to Adam Jones, I fanboyed. I didn't know what to say. Like I just
Yeah,
people were talking to him because I think they had done VIP and they've met him before. But I'm just sitting there like,
my
like,
first time.
like this is a god amongst men,
Yeah,
And I remember him saying that when they were played their inaugural, like when they played their initial Fear Inoculum tour in LA, Eddie Van Halen showed up there, and during that show, two things happened. They forgot the song halfway through, which is very unlike Tool, but it was their
yeah.
first time ever playing it live, and his string broke in the middle of the song, and and then he goes backstage and Eddie Van Halen's there, and it was just so cool getting to hear Adam Jones, who I like look up to as like a god. He's just like, I'm sitting there in front of my idol when my string broke and I literally forgot a song, and it was such a human experience, you know.
That's kind of a crazier story now with obviously Eddie Van
Mm-hmm.
Halen passing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
And you remember that picture on social media that he took with those two chicks and they had no idea who he was? I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah, yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah, that was that same show, but it was just a magical thing. I got to go see him again in Austin, literally 3 or 4 months later before COVID happened, and it was just anyway. I reason why I say that I get carried away with Tool,
No,
but
dude. Hey, I love talking about music. So that's
hell
great.
yeah, man. But there was a rehab center I worked for where one of the techs was a very similar dude. Like on the side, he did concert photography, and he's like, I got the privilege to shoot for Tool because of course I asked him,
Oh shit.
and he was like, Maynard makes every photographer sign a waiver that says if you use flash in any part of the concert, he has permission to throw any object he wants at you. And every photographer literally has to sign that, and it's in that exact writing.
Okay, so usually there are like waivers, not all the time, but
Yeah,
sometimes there are waivers that you have to sign, and everybody's is different.
yeah,
Sometimes you can't post them on social, sometimes you can.
yeah,
It's all
yeah.
different. But I would love to have that one.
Right. Well,
I will throw something at you if you use Flash. That's amazing.
right. Well, that's just like, I mean, that's just an energy that I hope to be able to obtain one day. You know what I mean? Like where I can say that and give absolutely zero fucks, and people are just
Yeah.
okay with it.
I just really I want it, and then one day I'd love to have him. I didn't use the Flash on you,
Yeah,
but I just think it'd be super dope if you signed this piece of paper.
that's right.
How many people were at your VIP?
So it was probably about I'd say about 100 people.
That's not bad.
Yeah, between 50 and 100 people, and and I got to meet some. I'm again like meeting people there. Like I got to meet one dude who then I got to see at the Austin tour again. Like it was
Yeah.
just because like that, like especially in Texas. Like if they're anywhere in Texas, this guy's gonna be there. So it was a very close tight knit group, and then we got food afterwards, and they kind of served us. It was a nice experience, and then of course I mean of course the experience was the experience, and you've been to a Tool show, like
Oh yeah.
you can't
Oh
take
yeah.
pictures even as
No.
a fan, or else they will throw your ass out
Yeah.
with no exceptions and no
Which
warnings.
sucks because it's such a visual experience too. And I don't know.
Mhm.
It was real. I was really bummed. Well, like I said, I was just happy to see Tool because I never thought I would even. I never thought I would even see Tool,
Yeah, but
let
at the
alone get an album.
but at the same time though, like I really vibe with the way they are, with their aura, with their ethos, with like I would much rather experience it than record it on my phone, because I'll tell you, any concert that I've recorded on my phone, I have never gone back and watched it. And
I
even
haven't either.
even if I have, it's just like, man, this is shit quality. Like you know what I
That
mean?
or that you're like, man, this is taking up like 7 gigabytes of memory. I have to delete it.
It's fucking terrible, So I'm just like, it's like an addiction where I want to do it, but at the same time, I'm just like, man, like, they're all about the vibe, they're all about the story, they're all about literally entering into your soul, and I'm just like, man, I paid this much money, I'm here, let me do it anyway.
I look at it too, almost kind of like a movie theater. Like
Mm-hmm.
I get in arguments with people all the time because they say they don't think of it as a big deal if movie theaters close because they can watch it at home and stuff. But it's like I'm so distracted by this phone at home. So when I go to a movie theater, I turn it off, I put it away.
Yep.
I'm not distracted by it for 2.5 hours. I'm zoned in. It's the same thing with concerts. Like
Yeah.
whenever I'm done shooting, I usually just go sit in the back and I just experience it. I just
Mm-hmm.
watch how the fans react and I watch how like what the band does. 'Cause, sometimes random things happen at concerts. They'll
Yeah.
do something they don't do at every other concert.
Yeah.
Because most time everything's like scripted for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so every show is consistent. But I don't know. I miss concerts, man.
I
It's
do
really
too.
sad. Like it's and like what you said earlier, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you said whenever you were in the VIP and the stadium was empty and you felt the wind from
Hmm.
like when they're playing, like that feeling is amazing. I never when I was a kid, I never really did. I never went to concerts. I was terrified because I didn't want to
Oh no
get pushed
shit.
around and yeah, I was terrified.
Oh
My
wow.
sister was like the hardcore, like she moshed, she two-stepped, she was
Yeah.
everything. She was in it. And and she took me to shows and I'm like a I weigh like 110 pounds. I'm terrified. I'm gonna get hurt. I was really scared. But
Yeah.
then photographing shows the past like 7 years, I got to be behind the barricade, so I wasn't getting pushed. And then the more I did it, the more I became comfortable with the fact that like they're all just here to vibe and have a good time,
Yeah.
just like me. They love this band. Why I'm here,
Yeah.
you know. That's why we're all here. And over time, I just love it now. I love the feeling of when the lights go black and
Yeah.
then you hear music and the bands walk out. Dude, it's such a fucking experience that I'm mad at myself for missing out on as a kid now, but I'm happy I get to experience it now as like a teenager to adult.
Well, I
But
think though, like at the same time, that kind of frustration of not wanting to do that probably makes you appreciate it on a deeper level than a lot of
oh,
other people.
absolutely,
You know,
dude.
so I mean, in a way, you can almost kind of thank yourself because it's just like, damn, like I get to experience this. There's a level of gratitude, and there's just this like great appreciation for it because
Yeah.
I'm same way, man. You know,
And it never goes away either, the feeling of like I said, like
no,
when the lights go black,
no,
every lights go black, crowd freaks out, they
yeah,
walk on stage, lights come on, and they start playing, and it's just, dude, it's
yeah.
everyone at that point is connected, and it sucks ass that COVID has taken that away.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, exactly, man. I mean, you know, it's there's a lot of things that I've enjoyed having COVID like come make every like I hate commuting to work. I don't like doing it. Like I don't like like I live in Austin, so it's like I don't like
Yeah.
driving in Austin. It's the
Oh
worst
yeah.
experience ever. But it, you know, that those events, I mean, yeah, yeah, because it's
It makes living your normal life worth it
yeah. You're,
because you get to look forward to these moments.
yeah. Oh, it's incredible, man. You know, and I just yeah, you're right. And even now, like I just started to get it. My first, I'll give you like my first ever esports event because I never really got to experience esports event when I was growing up. Like my family didn't really like. It was still like you know you're going to play with a bunch of strangers on the internet. Like everyone's on the
Yeah.
internet. Everyone on the internet's out to get you, and it's weird. And we don't. It just there was just not a whole lot of support there. And so like I didn't actually go to my first event until 2017, 2018. It was the MLG Gears of War and Halo 5 New Orleans event. That was my
Oh yeah, dude, that was a good one.
very first event I went to. I literally traveled solo, stayed in an Airbnb by myself, you know,
Yeah.
and I mean, and even getting now that like I just started to get into the scene, I'm just like, damn it, now they took it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like I got a taste, and then they ripped it away from me.
that's right, that's right. But I guarantee you, when we start, when I don't like using the phrase like when things go back to normal, but I say when things like transition to whatever normal's gonna look like I cannot wait to get back to
Oh
that.
no, dude, absolutely. It's gonna. I think it's gonna. After being like after what the whole year basically
Yeah,
everything's been canceled and whatnot.
yeah,
I think having that time off is gonna make people really appreciate it even more. And I think whenever the first big event where everybody can go back to and it's all safe, I think it's gonna be extra special.
yeah. It's
It has
fantastic.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's probably gonna be like really booming.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, dude. I mean, well, I think esports has done its job though. During COVID, this has been as painful as it's not be at these events. This is where, in my opinion, where esports has really gotten the opportunity to make its mark because there's a good couple months where sports were not happening, and it's
Nope.
like, where do
Esports is still going.
right, exactly. So it's a shitty thing, but it's also a really good thing for the greater good. I
Absolutely.
think I think they've done a really good job of getting enough eyeballs and enough attention that like when things start going back to where we start meeting in person,
Mhm.
like I think it's gonna take off, man. Like
Oh, I do too.
because it already has, to tell you the truth. Like
Yeah, I mean, events are always gigantic in general, but now
yeah,
like that it's been taken away from us, and we know what that feels like now.
yeah,
I feel like it's gonna become very massive,
yeah. Oh, 100
especially with
percent.
all the games that are out right now, with games that are coming out in the future.
Dude. I think we're like finally ending the drought of this like gaming like this like content drought. Like
Yeah,
you know, I think like Call of Duty is like the start of like where things start to get good. Like we got Black Ops Cold War coming out on the
yeah,
12th. We got Cyberpunk coming out on the 19th. You
I'm
know,
excited.
whenever the fuck Halo decides they're gonna give us a release date. You know what I mean?
Anything. Give me a crumb, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I actually made a tweet today where it was just like I listed all the dates of the new consoles, the new games, and he's just like, my buddy's like, if I saw like even like a whisper of from the Halo account, like it's just like, that's all we need to make this week perfect. You know what I mean?
I think I saw a tweet from somebody else too, and it was saying like, I don't know, it was something similar, but they were like, "Man, I really hope that we get some Halo, some Halo Infinite news soon." And then they go to the account, and it's like a, like another toy reveal or
Yeah.
something, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
What was it? It was an artist drawing, and that was Snakebite. I
Is that
remember
what it
that.
was? It was Snakebite? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh my gosh, man, just give us something. Give us a date when you're going to announce like the multiplayer."
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
just give me
Yeah.
something to look forward to instead of me waiting in my room, wondering and getting
Yeah.
my hopes up.
Right. I mean, I've kind of become numb to it. Like I've just literally, I've almost kind of desensitized myself to it. I've kind of like guarded myself from the Halo Twitter account. I haven't muted
Yeah.
it, but like I've emotionally I've guarded myself because I'm just like, you know what? Until there's actually news, I'm gonna focus on other things that make me happy. I'm gonna like, cause I just like,
That's kinda where I'm at, yeah.
cause I bought just about every single piece of merch, every single toy, like every.
No, you're wearing one right now too.
Right. I got the hoodie, I got the mega blocks, I got the like I got the toys. Like I'm just like,
Buying your merch, give me the
yes,
game.
bro. Exactly, man. So you mentioned I met you a little bit earlier. You kind of stuck this in there. You were shooting a COD event. Like like I know Halo's kind of your primary thing. What other esports events have you gone to? Like kind of like let's bring this back to the photography here.
So, COD okay, so funny thing, so COD is actually I don't like to say this because it makes me feel like I'm, like, making myself a celebrity, but
Mm,
COD is, like, what got me noticed by people in the
gotcha.
beginning because I didn't even know it was gonna happen. I took pictures of pros, I said, "Hey, I took these pictures," and I tagged them, and then they retweeted them, and there's, like, 3,000 retweets on them. And
Mm.
then I have like a billion designers in my DMs asking to use them, and then they would use them, and then they would tag me that it's my pictures, and then that's what gave me a lot of following. And then, but I wasn't even like the biggest COD guy by any
Yeah.
means. It was just Halo wasn't doing much, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go to COD. They're really big right now.
Yeah.
So I've shot only 2 COD events.
Oh wow.
I've shot a billion Halo events. I've shot 3 Gears of War events.
I saw that on your profile. Gears
Yeah.
is one of my favorites, man.
Yeah, I was that was cool, and that was cool too because it was over or it was, not over, it was for UGC, and I love
Hmm.
all those guys over there.
Yeah.
They're one of the only people that's ever given me an opportunity in the beginning and still do, and I would do anything for them because
Yeah.
they're just a bunch of great people. And they really random, I just wanna touch on this too. When I shot my first Gears event for them, they flew me out to New Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
took a
Yep.
picture it was like the end shot or something. I took a picture and I walked up to the stage. And I was like, all right, I think I did a good job. And they like rushed the stage and like was hugging me and thanking me and saying what I did was a great job. And like I'm not an emotional person by any means or like a sentimental person, but I like broke down and I just sat on the theater stage like in tears. It was such a experience and to have that validation and the thankfulness that I kind of was looking for and to
Yeah.
finally get it like 2, 3 years in, it was really cool. Um, but I've also shot Smash events for them. They give me that opportunity. I've shot Rocket League.
Dude, that's a
Uh,
fun esport to watch.
dude, okay, so funny story. I'm not a Rocket League guy, or I wasn't a Rocket League guy. A friend of mine sent me or sent a client my way, and I don't get to work with many teams. And this team asked, like, "Hey, we were sent to you by this guy. We want you to photograph us at DreamHack Dallas. Would you be interested?" I was like, "Yeah." I don't know anything about Rocket League, but I'll do it. And they offered me 6 different jobs,
Oh wow.
6 different events. So CS, Hearthstone, and Rocket League, but for 5 or 6 different events. But I had a full time job. I only have 2 weeks vacation, so I have to minimize it and work with
Mm-hmm.
that, even though I've taken off without telling them. Got in trouble for it a couple times, but I accepted two. I accepted the Rocket League DreamHack Dallas event, and I accepted the Rocket League World Championship in Newark,
Wow.
New Jersey. And and then the team that I shot for won the world championship.
Holy shit.
And and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm a lucky charm." And
Yeah.
that was a moment I'll never forget. First time ever working for a team, they lost horribly in DreamHack Dallas 2 months later to go win a world championship, and I got to experience that live and be a part of something. I mentioned how when I shot for UGC for Gears of War that I got the feeling that I was wanted and I did a good job, and that gave me that. The work that I did with Vitality, which is they're an entirely French organization,
Oh
so
wow.
I could not understand the players.
Yeah.
So their management team was amazing. They were super kind, and it was the first time that I felt I was a part of a team. I
Yeah.
was a part of something, and that was amazing. And I worked with them again for their Counter Strike team, and then COVID hit, and I was gonna work with them for like 3 more events, and then COVID hit. But yeah, man, I've done Rocket League, and that's what got me onto it. Now I'm a humongous Rocket League fan. So
Yeah.
Rocket League, Halo, Gears, Counter Strike, random little fighting games at DreamHacks that are
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Street Fighter and Tekken. But other than that, I think that's it for the most part. I feel like I'm forgetting like a gigantic one, but oh, League of Legends.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
League of Legends. I photographed 2 events for eSpat Media, amazing guys as well, and they gave me the opportunity to photograph an LCS, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is like the cream of the crop esport. I'm photographing this."
Yeah, dude.
And I rented like a $10,000 lens so I could reach,
Yeah,
and man, it was awesome. It was
dude.
so dope.
That's sick, man. I mean, and you mentioned UGC, like you. I actually had Guy Spencer Blaze on here.
Yeah,
I had him on a few weeks ago. That was actually one of my top episodes, man. I love
yeah.
he's a blast, dude. Those guys are
Yeah.
just fantastic over. I mean, that's the only connect.
He's got charisma just everywhere.
Oh my
He's
god.
awesome. He's so freaking cool, dude.
And I'll tell you, man, like the ability to break down Gears of War as an esport to a viewer is not an easy thing to do. Like,
It's very fast paced. I can barely. I was watching it for the first time, and I was having
mhm,
like a hard time because like I don't think I couldn't hear the casters at one point. I was just watching it, and it's so fast, and I don't
yeah,
understand like the little intricacies. I can't say that word,
yeah,
but man, they do break it down. Like him, Fallout.
oh yeah.
I think Veli was in there too. Like they're incredible at what they do to break down that game.
Yeah, because it's kind of, to me, it's very it's obviously not the same type of game, but it in that sense it's very similar to Overwatch. Like when I watch Overwatch, I got no fucking clue what's going on.
Me neither,
Like
bro.
like that game literally gives me a headache.
Yeah. I can't track all the different characters and all the abilities going on as well as the objective. Like it's too much on screen at one time. It's chaotic.
Oh, bro, it's nuts, dude. It's nuts. I mean, yeah,
Once
that's
somebody explained to me like the basic like game type of what they use in Gears, I was like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it's still fast paced like Overwatch in a sense, but I can understand the objective more,
right.
and I can understand like what a player is doing.
Yeah, Overwatch, you cannot tell what anyone is doing.
You cannot, and people like I'm not trying to hate on it, but I can't see what's happening
Right.
for the 30 minutes that's going on.
Well, and it's at the same time when you're trying to normalize this, like if we can't understand it and we enjoy video games, like how are you going to attract the common person who's may not necessarily be a gamer, who may be a sports fanatic? Like what that to
That's
me
why
is not going to sell.
that's why I think Rocket League is perfect. Cars is all
100%.
easy, super simple to understand, and look where it's at now.
I remember someone told me when I was first when we were actually playing Halo together, and he's like, "Dude, let's play some Rocket League, man." Like I think we were getting shit on in Halo, and he was like, "Let's just play some Rocket League. Let's just hang out." I'm like, "What is that?" And he's like, "It's like RC cars, but with soccer." And I'm like, "The fuck is that, bro?" Like,
It sounds like an arcade game or something.
yeah, but it was like I suck at it. For me, it's a fun wind
Me
down game,
too.
and I have no desire to even try to get good at that game. But as a sport to watch it, that you're right. It's a fantastic crossover because it resembles, the normal soccer sport. It has yeah, it's fantastic, man. It's fantastic. But
It's
I mean,
very hard to play too.
dude,
So
the
hard.
what messes me up is the fit, like I'm not sure if I'm even saying this right, but like the physics of like rotating your car and like the like
Yes.
getting it like to go. It just that is, and that's what you need to win. And I don't I'm just a bot like going in reverse on that map. Like
That's why when I was working with Vitality and I'm just like sitting there watching the players, I don't know what Rocket League is. I'm trying to
yeah,
learn while I'm there, and I'm just like, how the hell is he doing that? And then
yeah.
I go home like Monday of the event. I downloaded off the Game Pass ad, and I try like this is easy. I'm gonna do what they do, and I'm just dude, I can't even get the car off the ground like
Yeah.
they can.
Yeah.
It's insane. Such a high skill level.
It really is. I mean, and that's what's just fascinating about that. I mean, you look at Gears, you look at Rocket League, you look at over. I mean, there's just these high skill ceilings. You know, Halo. It's weird. It's like it to me. It's like it's almost like kind of capped. It's a lower skill ceiling, but like as far as the mechanics, but like it's so centered. Like if you cannot communicate as a team, like it is so centered around teamwork.
I agree.
But I mean, Halo 5 kind of brought an interesting element to it, like where it brought some more individuality to it. You know?
A lot of flashy players came out of that.
Yeah, it's
Foxy,
fantastic.
Neptune, Trippy, Sand, a ton of people. Hook.
Yeah. Yeah, who would have never made it in classic? You know what I mean? Like
No,
it.
I really don't think they. I mean, I don't think they would have. That's no disrespect to them. It's just
Yeah,
Halo 5 gave them a way to shine differently than a
yeah,
typical Halo player would.
yeah. I think
That's
it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. I mean, you know, you sound like someone. You guys sound like someone very similar to me, where it's just like it's a Halo 5 is a very cool evolution of it. Like it's still very different. It's you know, I'm a classic Halo guy. I love to
me
me
too.
nothing will hold a candle to 2 and 3. Those are nostalgically like safe kit for me. But like to me, Halo was a good step in the right direction towards like what the current meta of just esports in general is like for these zoomers and for these young guns. Like because it's got to go past this dinosaur movement, man. Like you know what I mean? And like I you know if you
Like
were go ahead.
I'm weird about it. I'm weird about it. So like I respect Halo 5 for what it is, but as a 27, I'm old. I'm not that old honestly, but I'm old in my mind. But I I love Halo 3. Like playing Halo 3 on PC, feel like I would be fine with even something like that.
Yeah.
Like if how fast that is compared to like if you play it on console and it feels like you have like cinder blocks around your feet. But I understand people not wanting to play a much slower Halo game, but I mean, for me, I mean, I'll always be like I will always be no sprint but faster movement speed.
Gotcha.
But I understand where people are coming from with it. And honestly, at this point in my life, I'm a casual Halo fan. I'm a casual Halo player,
Yeah.
just because I have so much other stuff going on. So at this point, I just want the community to be happy.
Yes.
It's such a yeah, I'm sure you see it on Twitter all the time. There's a lot of toxicity in regards to that the debate between Halo games and very tiring and very old. But at this point, I just want people to enjoy a Halo game. Like for overall the most part of people. I know
Right.
not everybody will, but
Right.
goodness, man, I just want people to be happy playing Halo again.
And I actually said that to my buddy. I'm like, you know, I could hate the game, but if the
Mhm.
community vibed around it and it was together, I would just have to sit there and take that L. You know what I mean? Like that to me, that means more than like yeah, because I'm a casual player but hardcore fan. You know?
Absolutely. Like I'll still get in. I'll get sweaty sometimes,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
playing with me or a buddy. But
yeah,
yeah, like I'm a casual fan, and I'll leave the good decision makings to the community members that do grind it every day,
yeah.
and I'll leave like I'll voice my opinions here and then, but I'll leave the battle to them.
That's right.
I'm just here to photograph the events and see all my friends again and play Halo and have a good time.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I gotta ask something you've been doing recently. Is reaction videos on YouTube. Kind of tell me what got you into that.
So yeah, so I did it like a year ago, and I was pretty consistent with it. I was like, editing wasn't crazy,
Yeah.
thumbnails sucked. I did it myself. I ended up stopping because I think there just wasn't anything coming out. There was no movie trailers,
Yeah.
and it goes back to me just liking movies. And I watch trailers. This is weird, but I watch trailers for fun.
Oh, no kidding.
I think trailers are just kind of like they're a different experience than the movie sometimes. Like
Oh yeah.
it kind of it also kind of brings you back to being hyped about the movie when you first saw the trailer. That's kind of how I feel about like Endgame and all those. I watch those all the time and remember what it was like to first see them. So I watch a lot of trailer reactor people, and I mean they're just talking, they just react to it and they talk about it. And I'm like, well, I like movies, I like movie trailers, I like pop culture and Avenger movies and
Hmm.
Batman and all this, and well, I can do that. So yeah, I dabbled in it like a year ago, and I started it back up like a month ago. I did like 3 or 4 videos last month, or and whatever. And then I stopped, and then I just did one like the other day over the Mandalorian special look of season 2, which I wasn't even gonna do it because I knew it was gonna only be like a minute long.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna react to something that we've probably have all seen anyway. but I wasn't looking at it from that mindset. I was looking at it from like, I just want to try and be consistent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't done one in a while. I love the Mandalorian. Let me just do it anyway, even if I have already seen most of the footage it shows, and it only shows a little new. Uh, but yeah, it's just something I've been into. And then my buddy Alex, who Alpaca on Twitter, he's been doing all my thumbnails. Because like one day he DM'd me. We've been best friends for like 5 years now. But he DM'd me. He's like, "Why didn't you ask me to make you a thumbnail?" And this is the guy who designed for Optic, 100 Thieves,
Oh
FaZe,
wow.
Envy. Yeah,
I've
like
seen him. I've seen him around. Yeah.
yeah, he's a really cool guy. He's one of the most talented people on the planet that I know on anything he does, and it annoys the hell out of me. And if he ever sees this, he'll love it. But yeah, he's like, "Why didn't you ever hit me up for thumbnails?" And I was like, "I don't want to bother you, man. Like, I don't want to be that guy and use my friends to get like thumbnails or whatever because I know you're a designer. Like, you're my friend, and that's what I, you
Yeah.
know."
Yeah.
And so he offered to do it, and every time I have a video, like, hey, like I need I'll send him like some stills from the reaction, and then he'll make it and give it to me that night or the next morning. And yeah, man, that's kind of what it's been about. But it's just a fun thing to do, just
Yeah.
while I'm stuck in my room, even though there's no movies coming out in theaters. But yeah, yeah, I don't know, just something to do,
Yeah.
something to pass time.
I don't know. I watched the Mandalorian one, like a little bit earlier today. So I was curious of like what got you in that, because you're like I mean you love esports, you love pop culture, like you love the photography, you love movie. It's just like it's cool to kind of hear the full picture of
Yeah.
who is David. You know what I mean? And
I'm still trying to figure that out too, man. Even 27, like
bro.
I think I was having it kind of was it really was about the same time when I had the slump when we were originally going to do the podcast,
Mhm.
and then I got COVID, and I was at a friend's house, and then from then to even kind of now, I've been having these like weird existential feelings of who am I?
Mhm.
Because if I'm not photographing concerts or esports, then Sandman doesn't exist, and then I'm just David, and then I'm like, who's David?
Eh.
And it's very existential and weird, but I took a lot of pride, and this is gonna sound really lame, so I apologize. I took a lot of pride in being Sandman. Like,
I was actually gonna ask you that.
kind of weird.
What is Sandman? How did that come about? Like where did that come from?
It came from a variety of things.
Yeah.
So in middle school, I love Metallica. I mean, that's Enter Sandman.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I slept a lot, and then just the final nail in the coffin was the anime Naruto. I don't know if you watch
Mhm.
anime.
I don't
There's
watch anime, but I know I'm on Twitter enough to know about Naruto.
Okay, so there's a character in the show called Gara of the Desert, and he controls sand and manipulates sand. That's his ability. And I was like, dude, this guy is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And everyone calls him, like, people would make videos calling him the Sandman. And so then I made my Xbox gamer tag. It was dumb. I made it Sand Assassin,
Mhm.
but I spelled assassin wrong. And then eventually I was like, this is dumb. I don't like this. And then eventually I just changed it to like I Sandman I, and that was it. And then over a period of time, I never really like it didn't stick with me as much as it does now in regards to how much I care for the name. But whenever I was like end of Halo 3 going into Reach, people would always confuse me with the montage Sandman.
Gotcha.
And I
Gotcha.
felt awful about it because I was like, dude, everyone thinks I'm this guy and I'm not, but I never posed as him by any means. But then I felt bad. I was like, I'm just this Sandman, and this guy's the cool montage Sandman. So whenever I became a photographer and entered my way into the Halo community as my own kind of Sandman, it was cool that I had that. Like I
Yeah.
created my own sand. I don't know. This sounds so weird. I
Yeah.
created my own Sandman that people knew and were friends with and appreciated. And Sandman was a much cooler person than David is. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird thing. I'm really like attached to the name. Very
Sure.
strange.
Well, sure. I mean,
But
and I don't, I like, I think that's cool because I think it's something that a lot of people as content creators struggle with is like coming up with their name and like having that
yeah,
actually mean something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like with me, like mine, like I have a like a very interesting story with mine. Like,
mhm,
Buna was like something that my mother used to call me as a kid that I was always so embarrassed about. I never would let her call me that in public. I was so Like I was so nervous about getting made fun of, like, and I didn't like it, and so I would only let her call me that in the house, like when we were at home. And
Where does it come from? Like that? Like
I don't know.
something she just made it up?
She just made it up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
Yeah, yeah.
it's just fascinating how that happened. I think part of it was because I called balloons like balloonies as a kid. You know what I mean? And like, and it was, and so
Okay.
I don't, I think it was like some sort of weird combination around that where she
Yeah.
just, that's what she called me. And and I was like, man, as I was creating my brand, I was like, the word, like a couple of my values are like, I want to be genuine, I want to be authentic, like, because I know people, it's hard to like find authentic people on the internet, like
Right.
it's because it's everyone's put on a front and everyone's always throwing their best shit out there. No one knows who the real person is until you have
Yeah,
conversations like this, or like, like get to know people.
absolutely.
And so I was like, what, the word bona fide by itself means genuine and authentic, so I said, why not
Okay.
just be authentic and be who I was always afraid to be,
Yeah.
as a kid.
That's cool, man. I like that a lot. That's
Yeah.
dope.
And
I
it
was
went,
actually wondering what it meant too. I meant to ask you.
when it hit, it was like, yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? Like,
And it's yours.
yeah.
Like no one else is gonna have that or make
No.
that. So it's personal to you,
Yeah.
but it's also like no one can take it from you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cool. I like that.
And everyone always fucks up and just calls me bona fide. I'm just like, okay, that's fine too. Like that doesn't, it doesn't matter, I've gotten bona fide, Boonafide, like, like it's like it's funny, man, but I think it's what some people struggle with is
Yeah.
it's just like the, like, who am I besides like Kyle? Who am I besides David? Like, what's this stage character? What's this image that I'm trying to present? And I mean, I think it's kind of normal to go through that because I'm going through a lot of like this existential, like, who am I? Like, there's a lot of internal like things that I'm getting to walk through, and I just think now, to tell you the truth, man, it's a beautiful time to do it because the world is literally stood still, and we are literally getting to deal with ourselves.
It's really just a giant moment of reflection.
And it is, and man, brother, like I'll tell you, there's some shit inside that like does not sit right with me, and it's just, it's kind of hard to do. I don't have any like mindless activity to like to go out and do it and to distract myself and to.
That's kind of what the events were for.
That's right.
So
That's
now
right.
when you're left just kind of standing still, your mind wanders the entire time, and that's sometimes it's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it tortures you.
Sometimes it's a very awful place to be
Oh,
in.
dude, it's not. Yeah, that's. I have a funny joke with a good friend of mine. It's my best friend actually. We talk about it all the time, but we'll watch The Office or Parks and Rec to like get us out of that mindset that you're
Yeah.
mentioning. Like even though we've seen it a billion times,
Yeah.
it's just something we I don't know, we just it makes us laugh and it's funny and then we love it and quote it all the time. So now whenever like we're in that mindset and just need to kind of snap out of it, we watch Parks and Rec in The Office. It's really random, but it works.
I was gonna. Mine's The Office. So I'm.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. That, like, going back to the very first seasons of The
Yeah,
Office, like, and
I do it all the time.
it's kind of funny because now, especially as as a society, like we're a lot of things are not okay now that there were okay then, and so watching The Office like back like Tim's like, bro, if this would have aired in 2020, like they
They
would have
talk
gotten
about it all the time.
canceled so
Oh,
fast. All the little nuances, the just, yeah, it was
it
nuts.
would have not even gotten past season 1.
No, no,
No way in hell, man.
no.
It's
But
so crazy.
that's mine. But also, kind of my little pastimes are like, there's a couple trilogies and sets of movies that I really like, and I know you'll appreciate it. One of them is, Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
The other one is Lord of the Rings,
Oh,
and
yes.
the other one is the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh,
And
333 perfect.
it's just
All the way
like, I don't really buy any more movies. I bought The Matrix because I do love that one. Like, I that was the only addition that I made to my new set. But it's just like, that's kind of like what I'll do to like go zone out of this, like, because it's just this complete and utter disconnect from reality that's nowhere even close to being true. You
you
know?
basically grabbed, like, the 3 best trilogies of all time,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you grabbed the right ones.
yeah. I mean, I can, and they're timeless. That's why they're the best.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why they're the
They
best.
never dude, freaking Return of the King still looks like it was made yesterday.
It.
It's insane.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very similar to Star Wars back in the 80s.
Mhm.
You can say the same about Lord of the Rings, filmed back in the early 2000s. Like, it was just so ahead of its time.
They just knew what they were doing, using,
Yeah,
like, actual, like, orcs, like, people dressed in costumes opposed to, like, CGI, and
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just it looks so good, especially even when you look at it compared to, like, the Hobbits and stuff, like,
I was
it's
I was just
looks
gonna
way
say it.
better.
I was just gonna say, like, if The Hobbit had been released before Lord of the Rings, or if we never had Lord of the Rings and it was just The Hobbit, I would have really enjoyed The Hobbit.
Yeah.
But when we have Lord of the Rings over here, it doesn't even compare.
If you put them both on a shelf and look at them evenly, it's like, I'm gonna go with Lord of the Rings.
Put it this way: I just got a new 4K Blu-ray player, and I got the Lord of the Rings collector's edition for the 4K
Yeah,
set, and I saw The Hobbit for the same price, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna get that one. Like,
dude, it's
I just,
especially 4K. Like
yeah,
seeing like Two Towers is my personal favorite.
yes,
I just love Helm's Deep.
yeah,
Helm's Deep is like my
yeah,
favorite thing of
yeah,
all time, and I love Treebeard.
yeah,
Uh, so seeing like the Battle of Helm's Deep in 4K,
yeah.
probably like the greatest thing of all time, dude.
I haven't gotten it yet. It's not sure on pre-order. It's not gonna get here till December 1st. So,
Oh, no kidding.
yep.
Okay.
So I'm actually waiting on it. So it went. I'll tell you. I'll circle back with you and tell you.
Oh yeah, please, please. I would love to see that. I love Two Towers so much.
It was actually the book I stopped to read. I didn't finish the book, but it was like I got through the second book, and then I just figured out I didn't like reading. So I just like I don't like reading, bro. Like I just
Me neither, dude. Me neither.
I fucking hate
Not
it.
alone. You're not alone.
I hate it, man. Dude, it's been an absolute treat, David. I wanna kind of wrap things up a little bit here. Like, something I always continue to ask myself, and I like to ask some of the people in the audience, like, is, like, you're 27, you're kind of like, we're in this middle of a pandemic, like, photography's not here. I mean, obviously you're going to continue photographing events, but what is it that you want to be when you grow up, man? Like, what is it that, like, what is kind of like your, like, man, like, I want to do this for the rest of my life kind of thing?
Oh man, that's a. You asked me like 20 years ago. It was like the president of the United States. Now I don't know if I want that job.
No, no, you're
I don't
pro,
want
right?
that. I don't want that responsibility.
No.
I think if I had to choose, like right now, 'cause it's kind of weird. I never thought about it, but I
Mm,
think I still want to be in the esports scene.
yeah.
I want to be, whether it's a photographer. I'd love to work in just a production like team. Like I love
Mm,
working with like stage, like people who work with like the lights on stages and stuff. Like I want to be a part of that process and helping other photographers not have crappy light
yeah.
at events. But I think I still want to be in esports, 100%. Um, I want to make I want to make my mark on it. If that
Mm.
makes sense. Whether it's with photography or just general production. And if 343 is hiring, I want to work on Halo, my favorite game of all time. That was actually the original goal when I went to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, this is the plan. I'll meet them. I'll shoot for them. I'll shoot for them some more, and then they'll hire me."
It's
Didn't
not how
happen.
not
Didn't
how it
happen.
worked out.
Didn't happen. It's okay. But I'm only 27. There's time.
You got plenty of time, brother.
Yeah, but I don't know. Probably esports stuff still, man. I
I like
definitely
it,
don't want to work at my day job anymore. That's for sure.
bro. Facts. Facts though. You know, kind of final question here, man. Like, if you had, like, say someone's kind of in your similar spot when you first started out, like, if there's any piece of advice that you would give someone who's kind of just coming into the scene, wanting to get into esports, I mean, primarily photography, but kind of in any shape or form, like, what advice would you give someone?
Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Hmm.
100%. Like don't say you want to do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Even if you think you can't, whether it's to go to an event, get a camera or anything, just do it, man. Don't let money or anything stop you. Like just make the sacrifice and do it, because most time it'll pay off. Because people like to see that initiative, to see you care enough to use your own money, use your own car,
Yeah.
risk your own stuff to go and pursue your dream. So yeah, I think just being about it instead of talking about it, 100%.
Something that a lot of people struggle with today. That
I do it as well sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic, man. No, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure. And where are you the most active on social media? If someone were to follow you, where would you want them to go first? And where are all your other social channels?
Definitely on Twitter, man, at David Sandman with two S's, so David S and then Sandman. I'm on Instagram as well, same name, David Sandman. YouTube for trailer reactions. I think it's just David Doran though. I don't know how to work YouTube. I'm a noob. So just David Doran, which is my last name. But yeah, those are the three main ones. Mainly Twitter. Yeah, you
Cool.
can follow me on David Sandman on Twitter.
Fantastic, man. I'll put some. I'll definitely put the links below. So that way when people are checking this out, whether it's on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple, they can have access to that. But
Oh,
man,
very cool.
been a pleasure, brother.
Hey, dude, thank you for having me, man. I'm every time anybody ever asks me to do these, I'm incredibly humble because I'm just some guy from Midwest City, Oklahoma,
Yeah,
taking pictures of his favorite game.
yeah,
So anytime anybody's interested in my story or my opinions and my outlook, I'm just grateful to be here, man. Thanks for
absolutely,
having me.
absolutely, brother. Hey, man, have a fantastic night.
You as well, man.
All right, bye.
Thank you.